Hello, friends. It's Miss Shapiro. Wow, what a week it has been. I hope that it's been good for you, and I think that the weather is going to be lovely this weekend, so I hope everybody gets to go outside and have a good time. So here we are with our first chapter Fridays, and we are going to be taking a look at a book that was recommended by Miss Lee, and it is called Born to Run. I had heard about this book before, and I love nonfiction, but I have not read it. And so I was curious. By the way, it is available in Actively Learn, so again, you can ask your teacher, your ELA teacher, to go ahead and assign it to you so that you can get a read on it. But I was curious a little bit about this book in terms of reviews. I was like, it's a book about running. Who's really going to like this book? Is a lot of people going to like this book? So I did some investigating with this tool called Perplexity. Now, Perplexity is a lot like a Google search, except it curates sources for you. So it's kind of like a mix between ChatGPT and Google coming together. But you still always, as always, need to ask your teacher before using any AI tool. You have to make sure that it is allowed. And you also should always make sure that your information checks out. You have to corroborate sources, right? Okay. So, let me show you how it works, though. What I do is I ask it a question, and I say, okay, tell me about the book Born to Run. What are the reviews saying about it? Oops, and I have a typo, but it doesn't really matter. In most chatbots, it will recognize that that's an error on your part, unless it's an egregious one, of course. Okay, so it gives me a little tiny gist of the story here, but it suggests that overall, the review suggests Born to Run is a compelling read. I like that. I like the sound of that. But I want to know, okay, so endurance running, huh? Tell me more about endurance running, because I don't know anything about it. I mean, not really. My idea of running is like, maybe a mile, maybe two, okay, and I feel super proud of myself, and that is fine. Okay, so here I've got some sources. Now, if I look, I could click into these for more information, and then if you notice, this shows up, this piece of information shows up in two sources, which means it is corroborated. Now, okay, anywho, so it talks about increasing and training and recovery and all those things. Okay, and then I'm wondering, is this a book only for runners? Only for runners, or who else might fit as the audience? Like, I'm not a huge runner, right? It says it's compelling, but is it only really compelling for runners? Okay, it's described as entertaining and informative, engaging narrative. Okay, so I think we're going to like it, guys. Let's go ahead and let's get started, shall we? All right, and here is a little thing from the Tao Te Ching. Great book. The best runner leaves no tracks. And let's skippity-doo-dah through that. Chapter 1. To live with ghosts requires solitude. Anne Michaels. Fugitive Pieces. For days, I'd been searching Mexico's Sierra Madre for the phantom known as Caballo Blanco, the white horse. I'd finally arrived at the end of the trail, in the last place I expected to find him. Not deep in the wilderness he was said to haunt, but in the dim lobby of an old hotel on the edge of a dusty desert town. Sí, el caballo está, the desk clerk said, nodding. Yes, the horse is here. For real? After hearing that I'd just missed him so many times, in so many bizarre locations, I'd begun to suspect that Caballo Blanco was nothing more than a fairy tale, a local Loch Ness monstruo dreamed up to spook the kids and fool gullible gringos. He's always back by 5, the clerk added. It's like a ritual. I didn't know whether to hug her in relief or high-five her in triumph. I checked my watch. That meant I'd actually lay eyes on the ghost in less than... Hang on. But it's already after 6. The clerk shrugged. Maybe he's gone away. I sagged into an ancient sofa. I was filthy, famished, and defeated. I was exhausted, and so were my leads. Some say Caballo Blanco was a fugitive. Others heard he was a boxer who'd run off to punish himself after beating a man to death in the ring. No one knew his name or age or where he was from. He was like some Old West gunslinger whose only traces were tall tales and a whiff of cigarillo smoke. Descriptions and sightings were all over the map. Villagers who lived impossible distances apart swore they'd seen him traveling on foot on the same day and described him on a scale that swung wildly from funny and simpatico to freaky and gigantic. But in all versions of the Caballo Blanco legend, certain basic details were always the same. He'd come to Mexico years ago and trekked deep into the wild, impenetrable Barrancas del Cobre, the Copper Canyons, to live among the Tarahumara, a near-mythical tribe of Stone Age super-athletes. The Tarahumara, pronounced Spanish style by swallowing the H, Tarahumara, may be the healthiest and most serene people on earth and the greatest runners of all time. When it comes to ultra distances, nothing can beat a Tarahumara runner. Not a racehorse, not a cheetah, not an Olympic marathoner. Very few outsiders have ever seen the Tarahumara in action, but amazing stories of their superhuman toughness and tranquility have drifted out of the canyons for centuries. One explorer swore he saw a Tarahumara catch a deer with his bare hands, chasing the bounding animal until it finally dropped dead from exhaustion, its hoofs falling off. Another adventurer spent 10 hours climbing up and over a Copper Canyon mountain by mule. A Tarahumara runner made the same trip in 90 minutes. 10 hours versus 90 minutes, that's quite a difference. Try this, a Tarahumara woman once told an exhausted explorer who'd collapsed at the base of a mountain. She handed him a gourd full of murky liquid. He swallowed a few gulps and was amazed to feel new energy pulsing in his veins. He got up to his feet and scaled the peak like an over-caffeinated Sherpa. The Tarahumara, the explorer would later report, also guarded the recipe to a special energy food that leaves them trim, powerful, and unstoppable. A few mouthfuls packed enough nutritional punch to let them run all day without rest. But whatever secrets the Tarahumara are hiding, they've hidden them well. To this day, the Tarahumara live in the side of cliffs higher than a hawk's nest in a land few have ever seen. The Barrancas are a lost world in the most remote wilderness in North America, a sort of shore-bound Bermuda Triangle known for swallowing the misfits and desperados who stray inside. Lots of bad things can happen down there, and probably will. Survive the man-eating jaguars, deadly snakes, and blistering heat, and you've still got to deal with canyon fever, a potentially fatal freak-out brought on by the Barrancas' desolate eeriness. Sounds like an awesome place, right? The deeper you penetrate into the Barrancas, the more it feels like a crypt sliding shut around you. The walls tighten, shadows spread, phantom echoes whisper. Every route out seems to end in sheer rock. Lost prospectors would be gripped by such madness and despair. They'd slash their own throats or hurl themselves off cliffs. Little surprise that few strangers have ever seen the Tarahumara's homeland, let alone the Tarahumara. But somehow the white horse had made his way to the depths of the Barrancas, and there, it said, he was adopted by the Tarahumara as a friend and kindred spirit, a ghost among ghosts. He'd certainly mastered two Tarahumara skills, invisibility and extraordinary endurance, because even though he was spotted all over the canyons, no one seemed to know where he lived or when he might appear next. If anyone could translate the ancient secrets of the Tarahumara, I was told, it was this lone wanderer of the high Sierras. So guys, when we are done here, there's a few questions I have. I need to know more about the Tarahumara. I am fascinated now and really curious about this tribe or about this group. I am also interested in learning about this part of the world, just the way it's described. What? So the High Sierras might be something that I would like to look into. I'd become so obsessed with finding Caballo Blanco that as I dozed on the hotel sofa, I could even imagine the sound of his voice. Probably like Yogi Bear ordering burritos at Taco Bell, I mused. A guy like that, a wanderer who'd go anywhere but fit in nowhere, must live inside his own head and rarely hear his own voice. He'd make weird jokes and crack himself up. He'd have a booming laugh and atrocious Spanish. He'd be loud and chatty and... Wait, I was hearing him. My eyes popped open to see a dusty cadaver in a tattered straw hat bantering with the desk clerk. Trail dust streaked his gaunt face like fading war paint, and the shocks of sun-bleached hair sticking out from under the hat could have been trimmed with a hunting knife. He looked like a castaway on a desert island, even to the way he seemed hungry for conversation with the bored clerk. "Caballo?" I croaked. The cadaver turned, smiling, and I felt like an idiot. He didn't look wary. He looked confused, as any tourist would be when confronted by a deranged man on a sofa, suddenly hollering, "Horse!" This wasn't Caballo. There was no Caballo. The whole thing was a hoax, and I'd fallen for it. Then the cadaver spoke. "You know me?" "Man!" I exploded, scrambling to my feet. "Am I glad to see you!" The smile vanished. The cadaver's eyes darted toward the door, making it clear that in another second he would as well. Okay, so if you're interested in this book, please ask your ELA teacher to assign it to you so that you can continue reading on. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. And again, remember, with any AI tool that you choose to use, if it is for the purpose of an assignment, please make sure to ask your teacher about appropriate use in their classroom so that they can have some guidance for you. Have a great day.